story is around abusive, toxic, narcissistic relationships that I have been experiencing my entire life. I was bullied from, well, you call it elementary school, we call it primary school, but I was bullied from the kind of last year of primary school right up through college. So that was something really to be reckoned with that really, shut me down and made me feel really, really awful for most of the time. And then relationships after that were never really on the good side. And then I married a man who was very, very narcissistic and pretty much abusive, verbally, mentally, emotionally abusive. And the universe had been giving me little nudges to tell me that things weren't right and I needed to pay attention. And of course, there was just so much going on in my head that I was in denial most of the time until the crunch came when I took my two young children to a karate class. And I was thrown very badly, landed heavily on my hip, and it turned out that I had broken the bottom disc in my back. So the contents were squeezing out and they were pressing on the sciatic nerve, and I have never felt pain like it, in all honesty. And I was like that for a long, long time, and eventually needed surgery to correct it. But after 4 months being off work, I had to go back because run out of sick pay, and needs must, as you do. And work had called me to say, you need to come in and see a counsellor first, just to make sure that everything is okay with you and that, maybe there's some accommodations we can make for you to get you back to work. I said, okay, that's fine. So I went into the counsellor, had a chat with her, and the first question she asked me was, how are things at home? Everything okay? And that was just when everything just exploded and erupted for me. I didn't realize I had been keeping it all inside. So I think for about 20 minutes, I was full of snot and tears and telling her how he made me feel, how he talked to me, what, the things he said, what he accused me of. And after 20 minutes, she said to me, so how long have you been getting abused? And I had said, I haven't been abused. He's never lifted a finger to me. He's never hit me. And I didn't believe that he would have done. And she says, no, no. And she says, you have the perception that abuse is only physical. She says, from what you've been telling me, you have been mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and verbally abused by your husband. And that was my turning point. That was like my aha, my light bulb moment when I realized that she was absolutely right. And then the anger came in because I suddenly realized in that moment that I had only been treated that way my entire life was because I allowed it to happen. So that was my big awakening. And since then, everything has just done a complete 180 for me because it was my change or my understanding and my awareness that changed my perception that has since changed my life. So that's really, in a nutshell, my story. I think that awareness moment really smacked me one right on the back of the head. It was a sudden stop. And it was like, wow, this is what the universe has been trying to tell me all this time, and I haven't been listening. So here you go. You can have an accident to slow you down so that you do have time to think about it, because that was all I had to do for 4 months. Lie on the couch and think about what was going on in my life. And it took quite a while for me to really come to grips and understanding I was really unhappy in my marriage. And I had thought I was being really strong and brave and, sucking it up and not complaining and, this type of thing. But I didn't realize how much I had been. I said, well, I didn't realize how detrimental me not addressing these issues was just to me mentally, emotionally, and physically. So that really gave my path a turn. And I just seemed to attract, energy healing and ideas in my head for doing this sort of work. So I started off with Reiki, because I think most people do. And Reiki finds you, you don't find Reiki, and that's exactly what happened to me. And then I have been, diddling into other types of energy healing. And for the last few years, my own way of working has been coming to me, which has been which has been great. Um, I always felt that I needed to adhere to certain rules and guidelines of other people's energy healing modalities. And having this one that I can do what I like with and what I'm guided to do is really freeing.